Polytechnic University
is now being recorded.
As part of the state university system of Florida. Under the Florida Constitution, the Board of Governors is charged with selecting 5 trustees, and the governor is charged with selecting 6. For our 5 appointments, the law provides that we appoint 2 trustees for 2 years term, 2 trustees for 3-year terms, and 1 trustee for a 5-year term. As I have said before, appointing a new board of trustees with well-qualified, diverse, and effective charter members is a rare and remarkable opportunity. We have worked hard to ensure that the trustees selected have a wide range of skills, professional experience, and cultural diversity that would help us build a strong Florida Polytechnic. Our search for candidates resulted in more than 50 applications for our 5 vacancies. I appointed a subcommittee consisting of Chair Colson, former Chair Parker, and myself to identify and vet the most qualified candidates. Quality has always been our primary focus. We look for applicants who had experience in higher education, applicants who had background in STEM, and applicants who were committed to the idea of creating a new and vibrant university based upon the existing Polytechnic model. We were fortunate to have a number of extremely well-qualified candidates. Yesterday, the subcommittee conducted interviews with 10 of the applicants. The members of the committee were provided with the applications for the 10 finalists. So you have had time to learn a little about each finalist. Having spent time with the finalists yesterday, I have to say that I was impressed with the talent and dedication that I saw. The subcommittee spent about 20 to 30 minutes with each applicant, learning more about the person's background, professional experience, and commitment to this new university. We stressed that being a member of the Board of Trustees would require a considerable commitment of time and energy, more than service on any other Board of Trustees. I came away from the day feeling confident that we will be able to assemble a Board of Trustees that will ensure the success of Florida Polytechnic. I feel like a few of the candidates have risen to the top. First, Dr. Sandra Federman really impressed me. Dr. Federman is a retired university president, so she provides a wealth of experience in higher education. Importantly, she has worked with several accrediting bodies, so she will be able to provide guidance in working with SACs. She has a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and PhD from the University of Pennsylvania. Dr. Dick Hallian also stood out for me. Dr. Hallian is a retired aerospace analyst who worked with U.S. Air Force. He also has served as a consultant. He has experience with NASA, the Smithsonian, the Royal Aeronautical Society, and the Royal Historical Society. He has a bachelor's degree and a PhD from the University of Maryland. He has studied technology education. I feel like Dr. Hallian will be able to contribute to the new board because he has experience in higher education and STEM. Next is Frank Martin. As a former board member of the Board of Governors, Frank was the driving force behind our strategic plan and our accountability report. Frank has an instrumental knowledge of higher education governance. He also works for an engineering firm. Just as he did with our board, Frank would bring the professional expertise and his commitment to Florida higher education to the Florida Polytechnic Board. Finally, Don Wilson made a favorable impression on me. Mr. Wilson is an attorney from Polk County who has represented Polk State College for over 30 years. He has an intimate knowledge of the local Polk County community and its higher education needs. He is a product of a state university system, having received his law degree from UF. Everyone in Polk County thinks highly of him. I feel that Mr. Wilson would bring both experience in higher education and a local connection to the Board of Trustees. At this point, I want to ask the other members of the subcommittee for their thoughts on the candidate, Chairman Colson and Governor Parker.
All right, I got somebody on the mic. Chairman, do you want to go first, or? Chairman?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll go first. I was very impressed by all 10 people, but I am the 4 people that Maury mentioned. I think would be terrific trustees. Everybody wanted to bring different types of experience to this initial board, and I think this group would do that. Frankly, the 6 that we haven't picked all would be, outstanding trustees too. But I support Maury's proposal here because these are really outstanding people. Ava?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I echo Dean's sentiment in that we spoke with very interesting, all very capable people, and it's been good that we had a great pool to select from. So I certainly, encourage those who do not get selected today to keep their name in the pool, to also become very, very familiar with other opportunities that may exist with other boards. However, for the very special situation that we have before us at this time, I concur with the recommendation from Chair Hussaini regarding the 4 who seem to have the best fit for our needs right now, because it is such a very special situation when you're selecting a board or selecting board members for a very new board, and the 4 that he recommended bring a very unique skill set that I think we'll need in order to advance and deal with this very difficult next step starting from scratch. So, those are my comments, Mr. Chairman. If you'd like me to make a motion, I can, or I certainly second a motion I might make.
Yeah, let me just mention this to our committee members that we want to give opportunity if you like to make comments. However, just to get this issue moving, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a motion, and then if I get a second, and then we will open to discussion, and we all can discuss it and decide.
Mr. Chairman, Norman Tripp, can you speak to the fact that you only picked 4 and not 5?
I am. I will just in a minute. I will do it in a second. Yes, sir. After thinking about the finalists and hearing the input from the other subcommittee members, I would like to make a motion that we appoint 4 trustees to the Florida Polytechnic Board of Trustees today. I am not recommending that we make all 5 of our appointments today. I know that the governor has interviewed candidates and will be making his appointments soon. I believe that we should make 4 appointments and see who the governor appoints. Once we know what the composition of the rest of the Board of Trustees look like, I feel like we will be able to assess the range of the skills, professional experience, and cultural diversity of the trustees to determine whether we have any missing piece on the board. So what I am trying to do is that let's get this board started. Let's see what the composition is. Let's see what they have. And then we, at later date, will add on the 5th person on the board. So at this point, I move that the Trustee Nominating and Development Committee recommend to the full Board of Governors that we appoint Dr. Sandra Federman to the Florida Polytechnic Board of Trustees for a 3-year term beginning July 16, 2012. Also, we appoint Dr. Dick Hallian to the Florida Polytechnic Board of Trustees for a 2-year term beginning July 16, 2012. Also, we appoint Frank Martin to the Florida Polytechnic Board of Trustees for a 3-year term beginning July 16, 2012. We appoint Don Wilson to the Florida Polytechnic Board of Trustees for a 2-year term beginning July 16, 2012. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? Now it's open to the committee members or the board members to have any discussion you would like to have.
Can I ask a question? This is John Temple.
Hey, John.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, first of all, really appreciate the great job you guys did. On Hallian, and this is just something I've heard. I've heard that he has close ties with Gates, Senator Gates, but I understand that in the way you vetted them, you probed questions about whether they were being pushed or promoted or contacted by, members of the legislature or, et cetera. So I'm going to assume that if he's being promoted by Gates, that you vetted him to the point where he said he wasn't being promoted or vetted, or he wasn't being promoted by somebody in the legislature. Is that correct? Have I got that right?
I will, as the chair of the committee, I have to tell you, I have received many phone calls. I have lost friendship because of it.
Okay.
And I will honestly tell you, I have never received a call from Senator Gates.
Okay. And no one else on the committee?
No, I have never received a call. This is the first I've heard of that, John.
Okay.
I've never received a call from Senator Gates.
Okay. All right.
So, I never heard that, but I can't, but I didn't ask him that question because I didn't know, and I probed people about their ties to local people in the Polk County area, but I didn't probe about, I didn't think about asking about Senator Gates, but no one has called from Senator Gates' office, it's the first I've heard of it.
Okay.
If you think about it, John, and I haven't gotten any calls, he does live in West Florida, and that is, it's very likely that Senator Gates is his senator, and it's reasonable that he may have a relationship with him, but nothing, I guess I can concur with Dean. It didn't come up. We didn't ask the question. It really was more based upon his background and his experience that we thought that he'd be a good fit, particularly since I think he had dealt with some startups of things kind of very similar to what we're going to have before us, and really had a good history and seemed to have a good experience level on these types of things. But I didn't know to specifically ask that question if it was a concern.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, I'm going to call the question.
Maury, I had you on mute. Sorry, this time. Could I just ask a quick question?
Oh, please, yes.
I'm sorry. I was talking and wondering why you weren't answering, and that was my technical deficiency. So just quickly, by the way, I'm very supportive of this. I wanted, I guess for the record maybe, just to thank especially you, your whole committee, but the effort that has been put forth to select the right names for this board has been an effort far beyond what my expectations certainly were, but I think, and far beyond what the requirements are. And I just want to thank you and the committee that was on the selection process, but as the leader of the committee, I think it's important we recognize the countless hours that you have put into this to make sure that as we go forward and have this new university established, that it's established with a governing board of trustees that is appropriate, and so thank you. My just two quick questions, and one of them you said it, I just missed it, but can you review again the residents of the four, which ones are in Polk County? I know Mr. Wilson is, but I can't remember on the others. And then the other is just on the subject of the fifth appointee, is there a requirement that that person be named by a certain point, or is it at the decision of our committee as to when we name that person?
And the fifth one will be at our pleasure. Whenever we want, we can make that appointment. And to give you exact, I know that Dr. Hellion does not live in Polk County. Actually, that was one of the questions that came up about, are you willing to travel? And I'm going to just extend on this. The question was, are you willing to travel? Because this board is going to require a lot of time. Are you willing to come to the meeting as it's called for? And unanimously, we received assurances from everyone. Now, as far as, and I'm going to get back to this some more about who lives where. As far as, I want to take this opportunity also to thank our staff on the board. Tom, I personally have worked for the last few weeks, including the 4th of July week, with the staff, and that's the main thing, the staff. I worked, even on 4th of July, I think we had a call the day before, the day after. They really, really put their heart and soul into this because of, our requirement to our staff. And that is, we want to be appointing a very, very, independent board member to this board. We want a quality, and independence for the good of the future. We want to make sure that politics stays away from any politics. And so we did not take any political calls, anything that has to do with anything. We truly paid attention to the quality of the people, make sure they are qualified, make sure they're willing to give their time, and they're willing to do the work. So I know that Frank Martin lives in Orlando. And Dr. Fetterman, she travels, and Monica, do you know where she lives?
She's in Palm Beach County, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Dr. Fetterman, I tell you, I'm so impressed with her. She was the president. She has been through the education system tremendously, and so she lives in Palm Beach. Did I answer all your questions, Tom?
Yeah, you did, and I just want to commend you for the geographic diversity too. I think it's excellent to have the distribution that you have, and so I just would echo your comments, not just to thank you and your committee, but the staff, because it's just been a ton of work, and it's very impressive. So, and thank you for answering my questions.
Any other questions? I'm just waiting because I know you have to unmute and all that. Any other question?
Mr. Chairman, this is Frank. First,
Chancellor.
Real quickly, I want to commend the work of the committee as well, but I think, and I do this on behalf of both Governor Parker, Chairman Colson, and the other members of the nominating committee, when I say that the amount of time you have personally put in on this has been extraordinary, and you are to be commended for that. I think we're going to have a great board for the Florida Polytech, and as we all know, that will lay a very important foundation and predicate for the future of the institution, and then its impact on the system. Second, and this is a technical issue, and I apologize, but I believe the second for the motion came from Chair Colson, who is technically not a member of the nominating committee, although he was in this very deeply because of the importance of this board and the unique nature of these appointments. We would need to have a second, however, come from another member of the nominating committee.
Mr. Chairman, this is Tom Kuntz, and I would be happy to second the motion.
Thank you. And that completes my remarks.
You know, as the chair of the committee, just, you know, I was afraid to tell our chairman you can't second.
Anyway, please,
I was afraid you were going to fire me.
How do you think I felt having to bring that up?
Okay, any other question?
Mr. Chairman, you can third it if you like.
Any other question? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, this motion carried unanimously. Mr. Chairman, this concludes our committee meeting, and I'm going to turn it back to you to start the board meeting, whatever your wish is at this time.
Thank you. I would add to the other comments, I didn't want to interview 10 people, and Maury kept telling me, we got to do this. This is too important. And I spent all day there yesterday under Maury's leadership, and he was right. We did the right thing, and the staff worked hard. But you know, Maury deserves all the credit because he pushed us to do it, and I appreciate that.